episode of 1923 Main Street.
Home of everything to do with travel in style. We are your hosts.
I am Mike Braddock.
And I'm Amelia Braddock. And today, how to dress for the city you're exploring.
Yeah, you know, we talk a lot on these podcasts about capsule packing and packing light. One thing. We also talk about how to not look like a tacky tourist when you're traveling, how to respect your surroundings and so on.
I prefer to call myself a traveler.
Yes.
Because that makes it so much better. Totally different.
But this week, we're going a little bit in a different direction and less so in my personal favorite direction.
And one that I am very much expert at.
And more so in Amelia's personal favorite direction. And that is, I'm not going to say throwing capsule packing out the window, but we're talking more about for those of you who like to pack outfits.
Curating your pieces.
Yes, for your vacation.
More, because every vacation has or should have some pieces that are capsule, but they might be different depending on where you're going as well.
Yeah, so what I mean is really we're not talking, we always try to pack only what you need, I guess is what I would say. But this is not about minimalist packing as much as it's about fashion forward packing for where you're going. And we're going to do this by talking about fashion forward outfits for 5 major cities that are very popular travel destinations, just to give you an idea. You can apply this really to anywhere you go.
Exactly.
So let's dive in. 5 cities and types of outfits you can curate so that you sort of blend in and not so much wear touristy clothes. What would you wear for summer in these 5 cities? Let's go.
Yeah. So starting off strong with New York City, obviously a classic as far as fashion is concerned. Arguably one of the most iconic cities for fashion. In summer, there's a couple different ways you could go. You know, you want like fast, fresh, bold designs. I feel like New York, a lot of the time, you can go a little bit more abstract for some of the shapes and the statement pieces that you're bringing out. But still, classic is a good way to go. For example, you could have, a classic white t-shirt, some jean shorts, and then a cool bag or a cool like jacket or hat or pair of sunglasses to kind of jazz things up.
Because it does get hot in New York in the summer.
Well, that's a big, New York gets quite warm.
As you know from your most recent trip there.
Well, my most recent summer trip, especially because of
the
the concrete and the buildings. Oh my God, the hot pavement. It's quite warm. So you definitely want breathable fabrics. A lot of the time, maybe like a cute dress and a button up or an oversized something that's light that you can take on and off depending on the time of the day is a great one. Hats are another big thing I think are quite cool. In New York specifically, I've seen a lot of cute baseball caps. Bucket hats are big as well. It actually does cool it down, but you want to make sure that it's a ideally light color as well, because the sort of blacks, grays, brown, I know is a big color, but that sort of color on your head in the summer sun. Maybe not the smartest.
For guys, it's a little bit different. Now, I am not one of those sort of magazine page model guys. So really, the same sort of thing, t-shirts with sort of casual pants if you want, like the chino style, or shorts. I mean, that's what I would do in summer. You will not necessarily need a jacket, but if you really like to dress it up and you like chains, those things can work. A ball cap can work. And really just to sort of blend in on the street but still look stylish. It depends. Sort of a subtle graphic tee, I think, is really great for New York.
Yeah, I think overall, and one thing in all of these cities, but I would say mainly or largely in New York, a good pair of sneakers, a comfy, cute pair of sneakers is the way to go. You will be walking so much.
They've become such a fashion statement now globally that you can really do it in any city. You're right.
It's true. There's a lot of cute sneakers at the moment. I know the Adidas ones at the moment aren't a big fan. Air Force is still a classic. All of those kind of cute, like I think white tennis shoes go great with every outfit. Even actual running shoe sneakers, any plain ones, a color one that goes with whatever look you're wearing. The New Balance ones are really big right now. Anything that can kind of fit in with whatever aesthetic you end up going for.
All right. Now, before we cross the ocean, let's cross the country and talk about LA style.
Yeah. So,
because this is very different than New York style.
Well, that's another good point. I think LA, like West Coast and East Coast, have a same vibe, but a different style.
LA more relaxed for sure.
LA is definitely more relaxed. You'll see a lot more, I think, color in LA is a big thing. There's a lot more old colors and patterns. Not to say that there isn't in New York, but New York still has that bit of East Coast summer, which is more classic and almost pale, whereas California will bring in some new styles definitely as well. This vintage idea, more like oversized sunglasses, just laid back, relaxed. Maybe you can get a little tan. You're kind of breezy. You're like anything in that kind of category isn't a good way to go. Same thing. Sun hats are maybe a little bit more oversized, maybe a bit more of the sun hat vibe. In LA, oversized shirts tied around the waist, that sort of thing. Colorful, more graphic t-shirts, I think would be bigger in LA versus New York.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you're talking about graphic tees and the kind that we produce, especially with the vintage look, the difference would be a New York vibe would be probably more black or faded black stamped vintage look, or browns or dark colors, whereas the LA ones are more like our roam freely, wear boldly, which is a blue faded stamped look. That sort of thing is more West Coast.
Well, LA obviously has the influence, it's right on the beach, of like surfer culture up and down the coast as well, like more like oversized t-shirt or button down over top of a bathing suit, or more regard. More swim shorts, different smaller tops that are more bathing suit like, easier for actual beach access because it's right there. And so that would be a big part probably of your trip if you're going to LA, especially in the summer.
And you can also get away, I guess, for both men and women with the button-up collared shirt but unbuttoned over a t-shirt, just that extra layer, because there are some breezy cool days
over
in
a t-shirt,
LA,
over a bathing suit.
Yeah, as the sun goes down, even in the summer, and you're around the beach or anywhere in that area, it can cool off at night.
Course.
So it's nice to have that layer.
Same thing, a good pair of sneakers, nice pair of sandals, the good way to go here.
All right, now let's hop across the pond, as they would say. But first, we're going to go to Paris. Now, this is definitely different. A little bit old world for the next three cities.
I think these ones definitely are dressed up a little bit more, or at least on the Pinterest boards and the type of Instagram. When you're planning on going to these cities, I think people tend to put a little bit more effort in subconsciously. Of course, depending on what you're doing in your activity wise, it's a little bit nicer. I think I'll see more skirts, more dresses specifically, not so many mini dresses, but more midi and maxi dresses are bigger, nice and flowy, still light. You can add a little bit of color in here, but Paris usually I think tends to be more pale. A good sandal I would recommend for Paris. Obviously, running shoes work anywhere, but a comfy sandal is another big one. It can look nicer with these little bit more dressed up outfits, but still be comfortable as long as you can walk in it, of course.
And another theme for Paris and really all of France is the simplicity of their style.
Yeah.
They're stylish, of course.
Always.
But not trying too hard type of thing.
No, I think
like it's natural.
You have to pick. Are you going to go tourist or are you going to go Paris? And don't do both. Are you going to wear a beret with all your outfits or leave it at home?
And for guys, yeah, exactly. For guys, it's almost the same. Like you can still have a nice crisp tee and chino type of khaki pants or linen pants, even if you want to go that way. It's not my thing, but it would work. Yeah, clean sneakers, not the ratty old, worn out sneakers. And just have that simple look, like with a nice, if you're accessorizing with a watch, of course, cool shades always work in Paris, but it's cool, collected, confident, sort of chic. Don't overdo it. And that's also comfortable when you're traveling.
Exactly. I think with Paris, especially calmer outfits, more in the accessories like sunglasses, usually for women, like jewelry, nails, even makeup, lip colors, old eyes, things like that also go well with a calmer outfit.
Now, not too far from Paris, but quite a different vibe fashion-wise is London.
Yes. London, I think, is totally different, which is interesting because it's quite close by. Geographically speaking, it has a big gap. That also has to do a lot with the weather. Actually, recently they've had a couple heat waves, but generally it tends to be cooler. So you might want to bring like some longer pants or some more shirt or light jacket options to go with it as well. Another big thing, I think the oversized jacket look is a big one. I'm seeing lots of recently, like rain jackets, leather jackets, that type of thing, even in the summer, and then more plain looks underneath, like the plain white t-shirt. Jeans as well are quite cute in London. I like to think, a retro cap or a cute crossbody is another big thing these days.
Yeah, and again, for the guys, it's still that sort. It's a little bit more laid back, but there's a unique style to London. I still think of, if you look back at old like Rolling Stones or Beatles albums from the 60s and 70s, that style is there again today in many ways. And that just means crisp, nice teas. They can be graphic but understated, but you can go a little bit bolder in London because of that background music culture, for example, if that's your thing. But also with nice jeans, which are, more, I'd say more of a prevalent thing I'd wear there versus Paris, for example. They roll them up there if you really want to get into that. Not a thing I like, but...
Well, of like the music and even the market culture of everything, like if you want to throw in a tote bag, London, I think, would be a great place. Although, do keep an eye if you have an open bag in the middle of London. Like,
yeah, and if you're a
watch out
hat
for pickpockets.
Wearer, if you like
in all
hats,
of these cities, watch out for pickpockets. But I do think a tote bag would be quite cute.
Well, when you're dressing like this, you're not going to come across as a traveler, as a tourist. That's the whole thing. And if you love hats, London is the place where you can get away with a little bit more, even beyond ball caps.
That's true. Yeah, you're going to get a side eye in Paris if you're wearing certain type of hats. But I think London's a little bit calmer about those types of things.
And again, because of their more streetwise fashion roots, a lot of those things, there's a much broader array going back to the punk era and all those things that really all come together in a big mashup in London.
Yeah.
Now, we'll close it out with something entirely different from that punk roots mashup of London, and we'll go to Rome.
Can't not talk about Rome. When you think Euro summer, this is probably one of the main things that comes to mind. A good linen blended tee. A lot of high-waisted things are in right now, like high-waisted dress pants or long skirts are perfect for the sort of cobblestone street vibe or sipping espresso at a cafe. Lots of leather is also cute, like some nice sandals. Same thing, oversized sunglasses. Or honestly, if you want to go a little bit more dynamic with it, you could throw in a cat eye. Jewelry is a big one. More like maximalist pieces are in right now. Gold is pretty big, but you can do the same sort of thing with silver. Just the bigger pieces, like the nice hoop earrings or necklaces, bracelets, rings, like piling on a lot is big right now. And just the right amount of drama to your vacation, I think, is necessary in Rome.
That goes for guys too. Again, if you want to be fashion forward there and look a little bit more local, or at least like you're spending time there, like maybe you're working there or something, you can get away, again, with t-shirts. So we want to keep it simple. But here I would say they like their belts. So think of nice shorts with a belt, t-shirt tucked in, and you can get away. If you like loafers without socks and that sort of thing, that would be very much an Italian Rome type of fashion statement right now. Yeah. You'll look more like you've been there for a while. You're not trying to pretend you're a local with any of these. Like pretend you were there going to school or you're working there for 6 months. You would start, dressing a little more like they do for comfort and style. And that's really what we're talking about in this whole show.
You're the type of person that comes home and goes, Barcelona. That's what. Exactly. That's the vibe you're going for. Rome, I would also say some more patterns I think could come out, at least for women, in like dresses or like a pale tank top and a pattern on your skirt, I think would be cute. Same sort of thing with the different shapes in the bags. I think Rome and Italy has a lot of different ideas for fashion that you can bring out. It's a little bit more bold than, say, Paris, for example.
And, the overriding theme for all of this really is that the clothes you pack should move with you on your vacation, not really work against it or weigh it down. So a little advanced planning. We just gave you some examples here for really popular cities you may or may not be visiting this summer, and things to think about.
A couple things that are dynamic, a couple things that are pale and can be paired with different pieces. Capsule it, but theme it towards the city of your choice. Or if you're going to multiple of these in one go, good luck and have fun.
And as I always say, if you're planning to go somewhere, go online, look for some videos that were shot recently, and just look at the crowd scenes. Look at the people in those videos, and that is going to give you the best sense of what's happening right now, wherever you're going.
What to wear and what not to wear. Exactly.
Because you know what? The tourists will stand out in those videos. I guarantee if you watch something like that, someone's video or a crowd scene, could be news, could be an influencer video, whatever it is, as long as there's people in it, you're going to be able to see who's local and who's a tourist. I guarantee it. So focus more on the people who look like they're native or
and
spending
who's
time there.
hobbling around with sore feet, and maybe don't bring those shoes.
All right, everyone. Hope that helps you start planning ahead for your summer travel journeys wherever they may take you. As always, follow along on social media at 1923 Main Street. Visit the shop at 1923mainstreet.com. We will see you again next week. And as always, roam freely and wear boldly.
Bye-bye.